Hello, I'm replacing the blower motor in my Atwood 8535-3 furnace in my RV. This is the motor that came out of it. It's a Redmond PF2680Q, and the replacement motor that B Young RV sold to me, I don't know if you can see it there, but it's PF26189QZ, and they said that was a newer motor. One of the things that I noticed about this new motor is that the shaft on this one is shorter than the shaft here, and also on this side it's shorter than on this side. I've already got this motor mounted, and there are a couple other differences too. This old motor has these tabs here for these electrical connections here. The new motor has wires that are molded inside of the case there, if you can see that. This is where the motor mounts up against this wall. Also, I want to remind you, you can just barely see the corner of it right there where my finger is, but that is a seal. And what I've learned is that this seal here protects the gases coming out of this exhaust side here. It protects the gases from entering in on this intake side here. So on this side of the motor, there's a like a squirrel cage, or let me move this out of the way so you can see. There's a squirrel cage that goes on this shaft right here, and it rotates and blows air in across that burner, and that's the air that we get inside. So we don't want the carbon monoxide coming off this exhaust to recirculate through and come back in, because that would kill us dead. So they have pretty ingeniously, I think, put a gasket here. And so I just want to remind you, if you take your motor off, make sure and inspect the gasket and make sure that it's still good. Some people may recommend changing them. You know, that may be the standard procedure. I am a newbie at this. I'm only following what I found on Wannabe Freeze YouTube channel. He's a pretty cool dude, it seems like, and he's very knowledgeable, and I got my confidence for doing this job in the cold gray skies of Portland, Oregon, from him. So anyway, another note, these are 2 of the 4 screw holes that hold this thing on here, and this is just the cover. I've got it taped up out of my way, but this is just the cover that kind of folds down like this and goes back on it. And that, once I get the fan back on there, and once I get the fan back on there, then I can put all this and then connect up my wires. And there's only a few. I've got my circuit board that goes right in there. It's inside. It stayed the night with me in there, so it wouldn't get rained on or anything. And I just replaced that a few months ago. It was like 80 bucks for the board, and I had a very nice gentleman come out and charge me a pretty good penny to put that in there. So I watched him, because I'm wily like that. I watch the pros work and then go screw it up myself. So, all right, that's all I've got for now. I'm going to close, and then we'll see how this thing goes. I'll let you know. Okay, I got the fan back in, or the fan blades. I was calling it a squirrel cage earlier. That's what my dad used to call it back when I was a kid. Kind of looks like a cage, hamster cage or a squirrel cage that they would run around in. So anyway, that's what that's about. I wanted to also pass along a little information about mounting this, and also talk about mounting this. I don't know if you can see it in there. Let me see. Hold on just a second. Put a light. Maybe that'll help. You can see that blower motor, and that's where the short end of the or the blower fan, and that's where the short end of the short end of the shaft, the short shaft of the motor comes through from this other side over here. Okay, so the point that I wanted to make was this fan, when you install this motor, there is a let's see if I can rotate it around here where you can see it. Yeah, right there. Kind of difficult to see. I'll see if I can get it in here for you. I know how some people hate shaky videos and stuff. I'm doing the best I can. But right there, you can see a little set screw, and it's got an Allen indentation in it. So, and you put it, to get to it, you put it through this hole right here, and it goes through the fan. And I use this cheap piece of crap from Harbor Freight. You can see how I bent it. That when I took it out, that was really in there hard, and I twisted it all the way around getting it out, but it finally came. So anyway, let me start again so this won't be such a hard thing to understand. When you're mounting this motor back in here, don't tighten that Allen screw right there in the beginning, because there's play, lateral play up and down this shaft when you insert the motor in there. It's going to be lateral play up and down that shaft right there. That means this blower fan will slide up and down it. So what you don't want is, you don't want that blower fan, this piece right there, you don't want that hitting this housing, and there's a wall on the other side, because it's going to make it really noisy, and it could possibly damage the furnace. So what I did was I just inserted it and I didn't tighten it. So then I put this one on, and I made sure that it rotated really nice and quiet. There were no obstructions, and if you listen, it's really nice and quiet. I can't even hear it. Right? So, and I think the motor, the motor, I think the motor turns, no, the motor turns this way, I think it turns in a clockwise fashion. So anyway, I'm sure there's a bunch of guys out there and gals who will think all kinds of things about my explanation of this. But I am changing my own damn heater motor out, and so you can like it or not. I'm going to enjoy it. So I mounted this. I got it working. Then once it's quiet, then I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to set the lateral position on this shaft here, this motor shaft, and make sure that this blower fan is not hitting this housing at all. So now I can spin them. And there's no noise, there's no hitting. So when the motor runs, hopefully that's the result I'm going to get, is no noise and it runs quietly and no damage to the thing. So I got to get some new connectors for my motor. Hello, Daisy. How are you? Nice to see you. I've got to get some new connectors for my motor to hook those back up. And I'm not for sure which is which, so I got to do a little research and figure out what's the hot and negative side there and there, where that came off of. Then I'll put my faceplate back on with my sail switch. I did take the time to clean all this up. It had lint and dust and everything, and this sail switch right here, Want to Be Free explains how that works, so I'll just let that stand. I hope that you go and watch this video, because he's a lot better video maker than I am, and obviously knows more about it. And then I got to put the board back in, so, and then the burner. So there's a few more things to do here, and then I'll post a video when it's all running or blowing up and we're calling the fire department or whatever. All right, we got it all back hooked up. It's running like a champ, blowing hot air. The fan is very quiet. I got all the fans squared away in their housing good. Put this connector back on. I went to Harbor Freight and bought some wire connectors, and then just wrapped them up with tape for this motor. Put my board back in there. I don't know if you can see that very well. It's raining and my phone is getting wet. This is for the, if it'll focus, come on, focus up here. Okay, oh, there we go. It is for the 8535 3 DCLP motor with an Atwood furnace, right? So there's a complete picture of what that's supposed to look like. Oh, there we go. There we go. So that's what that looks like. It's all running good. Oh, one thing is this. All right, here we go. This exhaust tube here. That is supposed to set out. If you notice, that's supposed to sit out with just a little bit of hangout past this lip here. If you can see that, it might not be very clear, but that hangs out past the edge of this. It doesn't look right. It doesn't look right. But these are not supposed to set all the way back in there, and it's really important that this sets out in the correct position so that there is a proper amount of length. There's a lot of incredible engineering that goes into these things. I'm really impressed. But there has to be this tube from the burn chamber has to be a certain length, and I don't know what that is. But this really needs to set out past there. And one way that you can do that, one way that you know is see that there is a wing nut right there. I don't know if you can see that wing nut right there is what holds this burner tube in place. And then also this screw, this wing nut right here is what holds that in place. So right back here, there is kind of a stain on the metal on this frame of this that holds this tube in place. All I did was I just pushed it back in there, and so that old stain lined up with this housing right here. So I knew how to get that back in there. And then there's also a washer there, and it made a stain too right under that window. So I think if you push that back in there and get those stain marks lined back up, I think you'll be all right. So anyway, this is going to conclude this. I am so happy that I fixed the heater in my RV. Yeah, so thank you very much, Wannabe Free, and to anybody that's asking about an 8535 3 Atwood furnace motor. I hope this helps you out. Thanks.